in San Francisco, and he's been coming to my class for about 5-6 years. And then one day I asked him to come and work with me in Jewish medical ethics. This was a year before we had the first conference. He was a journalist. I knew him well. He's brilliant, very fine person, very kind. And I knew that by choosing him to work with me, we are going to, with God's help, be very successful. Actually, I cannot take credit for choosing him. The credit goes to my wife. She said to me, if you want to succeed in Jewish medical ethics, the right person is Barry Smail. So 7 years ago, I asked him to come and work with me, and I would say, as I said before, that our partnership, as you have seen, has paid off in a big way, and I would like to give him the honor of introducing our special guest for the evening, who has come from such a long way, all the way from Oman. I'd like to ask our Executive Director, Barry Smail.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Lipner. Like Rabbi Lipner said, I met him many years ago, and he was the person who turned me on to Judaism, because I really wasn't plugged into Judaism based upon the way I was raised at all. And he brought Judaism into my life, and I'll be forever grateful. Thank you. About 6 months ago, I was sitting in my office, and I got a call. And there was a fellow on the line who said that he was calling from the Sultanate of Oman. So I decided to play along with him. And he asked me, can you please tell me the Jewish point of view on xenotransplantation? Now, I knew what xenotransplantation was, but I didn't know the Jewish point of view. So I got some literature, I talked to Rabbi Lipner, and I sent him some information, some of our tapes, some of the chapters in books written by Dr. Steinberg and Rabbi Jacobovitz and a few others to fill him in on the Jewish perspective on xenotransplantation. And he told me that it looked as if the Islamic perspective and the Jewish perspective were very similar. And then I thought to myself to ask him this. I said, Dr. Daar, could you be so kind as to fax me your CV? And I did, and it was very, very impressive. And I showed it to Rabbi Lipner, and Rabbi Lipner was very excited and said, we should ask Professor Daar to lecture at our conference if he would like to. And I called back Professor Daar, and at the risk of offending him, I said, please don't be offended, but may I be so kind as to ask you for references? So who does he give me? He faxes me a list of several prominent Jewish physicians in North America. One was a Frederick Lowy, I believe, and he heads the Institute for Bioethics at the University of Toronto. Another fellow is a Felix Rappaport, who heads up a transplant program in New York City, and a few other fellows. And I call up each of them, and they said that this is a wonderful man from a very enlightened country, and he works for a ruler who is an extremely enlightened man in terms of Israel and the Jewish people. It's a very special country, and I can't recommend him highly enough. And so, with Rabbi Lipner's permission, I called Dr. Daar back and invited him to speak. And he very kindly accepted. And here he is.
Friends, colleagues, I was extremely honored when I was asked to come and talk to here. When I saw the kind of people that were invited to talk here, I knew I would be completely out of place. But nevertheless, I'd have an opportunity of meeting such people like Rabbi Emanuel Jacobovitz, Rabbi Lipner, the several Nobel Prize winners that have addressed this meeting in the past, the one who's going to come tomorrow, Dr. Kronberg, about whose work I already knew, And so I was very thrilled. It didn't take too long for me to say, yes, I'm coming. I'm going to try. I came not really knowing what I was going to say to you, so I brought hundreds of slides in a bag, and they were lying in a satchel upstairs. And yesterday I came here to get a feel of the place, to see the room, the kind of people who were in the audience, and to listen to see what kind of things they were going to be interested in. And so this afternoon, while you were listening to the wisdom that I will see on a video later, I was up preparing for this talk from my huge collection of slides. And as you all know, the physicians always put in too many slides, and so I have a lot of slides, but a lot of them are just scenery and so on. And in fact, nothing I'm going to say is very profound, so please just sit back and relax and try and enjoy the talk. I'm not going to say anything that's going to be very taxing on your minds. I work at, if we can have some of the front lights down just a little bit. Rabbi, if I go, since I haven't practiced this, it might take a little longer than I think. Simply shout when it's time. And if I'm excited at the time, I'll just plead that I'm a little deaf, which I am. So this is the emblem of the university that I work for, and the word that you see at the top is the first word that was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, and it says Iqra. It means read or recite. It also has implications of learn, and in our tradition we are supposed to learn wherever we can find wisdom. And one of the reasons I'm here, in fact the main reason I'm here, is to learn rather than to do the opposite. I'm here to learn, and I'm going to be listening very carefully.